Hello, and welcome back to Blue Collar Watches. I said I'd get around to doing this video, and I finally have. I'm going to compare a real Seiko Monster to a Tandorio Monster. Keep in mind, I only paid $61.70 for this watch. Pretty inexpensive. I did get a really good deal on this watch. I paid $329 for this. Immediately had to replace the band. But typically these probably go for about $350, $375. So big difference in the price. As I said in the review when I did this Tandorio originally, you can literally buy 6 of these for one of these. And the strap that this Monster that I actually bought, the Seiko Monster that I bought, was absolute trash, absolute garbage. The pins were falling out of it. I immediately replaced the band on it. Pretty disappointed in that fact. But there is some variations in it. Obviously, the dial is the number one. The dial is not exact. I kind of like the dial on the Tandorio they kind of look like teeth. Kind of go with the monster theme. I think that's pretty cool. But I had been really wanting a real Seiko Monster. And it's kind of an iconic timepiece that Seiko makes. And it's not the original one from, I believe they come out in the 70s, possibly the 80s. These came out in February of 2023, this particular one right here. Relatively new to the market. They say it's a limited timepiece, but this is not a limited production. I mean, I have no idea how many of these have been made, but there's plenty of these readily available. Most places I see, again, like I see selling it, they probably go around selling them for around $400. But if you wait, mark your time, you can find these on sale at a bargain. But maybe I just got a bad one. Oh, and on a side note, I did write Seiko an email about this band to their customer service. That was a week and a half ago. Of course, I never expected a response. I didn't get a response. Let's do some actual comparison on the dimensions. So let's do it from the bottom. Now let's do it from the top. 41.2. What's this one come out to? Probably depends on how you hit the lugs. Yeah, pretty much dead on. Let's do lug to lug. $48.2. They did a really good job making this homage dimensions-wise. Thickness, 13.6. The real Seiko is slightly thinner. The real Monster, Harlech crystal. This has a sapphire crystal. The real Monster has the Cyclops. Of course, the Tandorio doesn't. I guess that's harder to do in sapphire. Really don't know. 20 millimeter band on both of them. The Seiko is ISO certified. This watch is certified to 200 meters. This watch says 200 meters. It's an AliExpress watch. I would be concerned about putting this in a puddle. I don't trust the water rating on any of these AliExpress watches, and you shouldn't either. One of the issues with the Tandorio is the bezel does not line up perfectly. And then when you try to get it lined up, then these lugs on the side are misaligned. Not really a big major deal to me because it's only a $61 watch. My Seiko lines up perfect. And it better line up because it was a $329 watch that I had spent another almost $40 on it. I think this band was 35 bucks. I have used this band this exact band previously. It's on my Hamilton. I bought one of these for my Hamilton. It's $35 or $40. I can't remember the exact price that I paid for that band. I opted this time with the Tandorio to go with the red dial. I figured let's step out of my comfort dial. I'm usually like blue, gray, a couple black dial ones. I'm very impressed with the dial on this watch. It's pretty vibrant. It's a good color. I've worn this to work a couple times already, and everybody, you know, when they see it, you know, oh wow, check out that one, because they know I collect, and there's a couple guys I work with that collect, and I really like the dial on this. This is the dial on this is the reason why I bought this one. It's got the penguins in it. Seiko does a fantastic job with their dials. You can never discredit them for the quality of the dials that they put on their watches. I'll throw a Lume shot in here. And the Lume on this Tandorio, I was actually somewhat impressed with it, but it will never compete with the Seiko Lume. That's just not possible. Seiko puts excellent Lume on their watches, but you're paying a much higher price. You're paying for that name, but overall the quality of a Seiko is gonna beat the Tandorio. But like I said in the beginning of the video, you have to keep be objective. This watch is significantly less in cost. The band that this Tandorio comes on, it's a silicone band, and I'm going to replace this at some point. I'm not in no big rush to run out and put a new band on a $61 watch. The next time I find some bands on sale, I'll buy me a decent band for this, and I'll put this on a stainless band. But I'm not in no big rush at the moment. The real Monster, 4R36. And the 4R designation simply means made by Seiko, intended to go in a Seiko watch. This has an NH36 in it, and I have cracked open previous Tandorios, and in my experience with opening them up and examining the movements that Tandorio uses, they are legit Seiko movements. They're under license made. They usually come from TMI, Time Management Industries. I don't know how Tandorio is making money on these watches. I mean, overall, that's a pretty darn close approximation of the real thing. Even this dial on the Tandorio, these numbers are indented into the dial like they're engraved, and then obviously that's probably black enamel paint. But that's pretty darn good. And you put these side to side. Pretty close approximation. Not exact, pretty close. I would say if you want a Monster but you don't want to spend Seiko prices, go with the Tandorio, because you can't beat that for $61. I did look before I made this video. Currently, these are listed at $84. They're always having sales. For those of you that shop on AliExpress and you collect your coins every day, I have never had a Tandorio watch where I was not able to use my coins as an added discount. Typically, those coins will give you another 5%. A couple dollars is a couple dollars. So here I am, ready to do the Lume shot on this Tandorio versus the Seiko. I will say the initial brightness of the Tandorio is pretty impressive. It's not going to have the staying power of the Seiko Lume Bright though. But here we go. That's pretty impressive for a $61 watch. Maybe I'll throw a time lapse in here and we'll see how it sustains against the Seiko. Okay, so as you can see from that Lume shot and the time lapse, the Lume on this Tandorio, not spectacular, not horrible. I find it, for considering the price point of the watch, I find it acceptable. I expect the Lume to sustain and be better on the Seiko, with the purchase of this watch and the purchase of this band, I'm right around $375 probably, all in on this Seiko. I'm $61.77 all in on this Tandorio. There is no substitute for the real thing, in my opinion. You know, as a collector, I really wanted this Seiko, and I sat, I waited, I had it in my cart. When I found it on sale, I pulled the trigger. I actually bought this before I ordered this Seiko. You know, I had ordered this. This took 11 days to get here. I bought this through Amazon. This was here like the next day. But when I think these are relatively new. I don't really know. I had seen them on Tandorio's site, so I went ahead and ordered one because I said to myself, hey, I've been wanting a Monster. It looks like a Monster. I'm going to go ahead and buy it. And it was on sale. I was able to use my coins. And I felt like this was a hell of a bargain. I felt like I got a good deal on this too. Highly disappointed in the band. My end conclusion on the comparison of these two. This Tandorio, is it a cheap watch? Yeah, but I think that they build pretty decent watches considering what they charge for them. The Seiko, you're going to pay for it because it simply says Seiko on it. When you buy the real thing, it's always going to be at a more premium price. But if you want a Monster-like watch, a Monster homage, this is a pretty darn nice watch. And I will wear this watch. I really am more into this dial than I thought I would be. I just went for the red because, you know, I always buy a certain color. Let me buy something different. It's really vibrant, really looks good. And I think for the money, you can't beat them. You know, minor variance, minor difference in the handset, in the dial, but it looks like a Monster. The dimensions are almost identical to the Monster. When I upgrade the band, I'm sure I'll like this watch even more, but I'll probably spend $20, $25 on a band, maybe more. I really do like this watch. I wish the bezel lined up better. That's the only real issue I find with it. And again, as I stated in the beginning of the video, I would never in a million years trust the water rating on this thing. The Seiko is ISO certified. You're going to pay for a watch that is certified to that depth. I believe this is the only watch that I do own that is actually ISO certified. When you buy a watch, you'll have manufacturers say built to ISO specs. That doesn't mean it's certified. This is certified. This is it's a Chinese watch. It may have some water resistance to it, but I'm not even gonna play to that at all. But if you want the Monster homage, I'll leave links to both of these. I don't know if this is still on sale from that seller, but the Seiko is probably going to need a band, just in my experience. This comes ready to wear, out the box, ready to go. Has a minor imperfection, at least mine does, with the bezel. But other than that, it's not a bad looking watch. And again, as I've said before in many of my videos, I always keep the price point, what I paid for it, in consideration. Considering what this watch cost, I find it a heck of a deal. All right, that's it.